My view is the following, that is, you can close the trade gap in two different ways, okay? One is for China to reduce exports to the U.S., okay, which is what the U.S. wants to do. You increase tariffs, for example, then automatically the exports will decline because it becomes more expensive, right? But I think that actually very often turns out to be lose-lose, right? And that really means Americans have to pay higher prices for whatever they import, and the Chinese will have to cut back on exports, right? My view is that you can balance it by persuading the Americans to increase exports, right? Because you can balance it. If China imports more from the U.S., it could also narrow the gap, right? So I think there are many areas. One is agriculture, right? In fact, I think the U.S. and China have already agreed on resumption of beef exports, right? And I think that's very natural because China has no space, not enough space to raise cattle, right? So you should just buy American beef, right? Even buying American cows to raise in China doesn't make sense, right? Not enough land. So beef exports, pork, right? And China is already a very large importer of U.S. corn and U.S. soybeans, right? So agriculture is a huge area, right? And chicken feed, right? And even rice. Why not, right? I mean, California produces quite a bit of rice. So actually, there's plenty of room for increasing agricultural exports, right? The second area, which is also beginning and could become very substantial, is oil and gas, right? I think
shale.
America is becoming a net exporter now in oil. Used to be a large net importer. It's now a large net exporter. So China can easily buy oil and gas from America, right? And that could be very large. I mean, in fact, China can easily say, we import more from the U.S., and then maybe we'll cut back a little bit on imports from Saudi Arabia, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where you buy the oil, right? So I think that is, again, a large item, right? You think about it as a large item. Now, the third area is a little bit more controversial, and that is on the high technology exports. Okay. Now, the U.S. has restrictions on very high technology exports. Okay, for security, for patent reasons, whatever. But I think that is an area where there could be some discussion, and in fact, in many areas, China is already sufficiently ahead, so it makes no sense to continue to impose restrictions on high technology exports, right? So that can also rise very quickly.